Hey, welcome back. Now that we've planned our phases and features and we're in the middle of our onboarding phase, it's time to start recruiting testers and bringing them in so we can really kick our project off. So today's video is all about recruitment. We'll discover how to recruit testers, how to qualify them for our project. We'll invite them to the test, and we'll also learn how to automate tester engagement using TED. So let's get started. All right, now before we start building our project recruitment flows, let's go ahead and take a look at what the typical project recruitment process is going to look like. So first off, we'll have our applicants join via a source. In this case, we have something like an email or a URL, and that's going to lead them to the landing page or the opportunity. From here, they can either create their account if they don't already have one at the community level, or they can go ahead and start to join the project. From there, they're going to complete the notice chain. So this includes things like surveys, other pieces of content that we may want them to complete, etc. And once they've completed all of the applicant notices, they're going to be hit with a block notice. That's going to prevent them from moving any further in the project, so they can't actually log into the project space and start testing. First, we need to actually verify and qualify our testers. So we'll take a look at our qualification survey. We'll find the testers who meet our requirements and we'll promote them to participants and welcome them to the project. And if they don't meet the requirements, we'll ask them to stay tuned. We'll have plenty of other testing opportunities in the future. So now we have a better idea of the typical project recruitment path. Let's go ahead and start building our opportunities. All right, let's start off by taking a look at the applicant opportunity that I've already built for our project. And then we'll move on to building a participant opportunity. So I'll head into Skyline here. And we'll go ahead and go to Management. And from Users, we'll select Recruiting. All right, excellent. Let's go ahead and check out the pre-built opportunity that I have here. This is for applicants. So this is designed to make sure that community users can go ahead and apply to join the project, but aren't actually able to test yet. It allows us to run things like qualification surveys and understand our applicants better before vetting them, qualifying them, and promoting them to participants. So let's go ahead and take a look at this opportunity. Click on Applicant Opportunity right here. There's our internal name. We also have the page title and some body text for our landing page. I've left the opportunity details blank, and I've set up the destination team as applicant. Here's all the notices that the applicants will see as they apply to join the project. So they're going to hit that qualification survey that we talked about, and they'll also hit the block notice. So that's going to prevent any other progress into the project until we can verify them, qualify them, and promote them to participants. Right here, we have user account options. And if you remember in our community recruitment video, we talked about setting up certain community sources as project user sources. And what this means is if we were to invite anyone to join the project, but they hadn't signed up at the community level, it'll walk them through the process of doing all of their community notices before they move on to the applicant notices for our project. So it ensures that everyone who is applying to join the project has information at the community level. So it covers all of our bases right there. Advanced options are blank as well. No inactive message. But one thing that we do have at the very bottom here is we're actually hiding this page from search engines. So this is a confidential test. We don't want everyone suddenly just rushing in and applying to join. So we are hiding this from search engines. But we do have a way to make this available to our community members right on the homepage. And I'll show you that in just a second. Now that we know more about that, let's just go ahead and click Submit. And you can see I have one source set up for this opportunity, and that's a URL. Operates in the same way that our URLs work at the community level. But let's go ahead and hop in. I'll show you one key difference here. So I'll hover over URL and we'll click on the Modify button. You can see we have our URL there. We have the key to join, to start accessing this opportunity. We have our QR code. And then we also have the ability to make this an open opportunity. And what that means is when community members are at the homepage, they'll actually see a button that says join the Skyline Delta test. And they can go ahead and click on that, and they'll be taken through that to the opportunity. And from there, they can go ahead and complete the qualification survey and wait for more details. So really, really good for making it so that our project is very accessible to our existing community members. And then, of course, if we want to share this in something like a Slack channel or a Teams message or something like that, we can always copy and paste our email and get recruitments that way. Next up, let's go ahead and build out a participant opportunity. All right, so let's go ahead and create that participant opportunity using the project kickoff dashboard. So here I am. I'll scroll down to our fourth panel here, and I'll click on create an opportunity. We'll title this participant opportunity. And then I have some nice copy that I'll just add in here. All right, looks good. Again, no opportunity details, leaving this blank. And for destination teams, we are going to select participant. Now you can see we don't have any notices for our participant opportunity just yet. We'll configure them in a moment, but it's totally fine if it looks like this. And we'll make sure that our user account options is this 2023 members opportunity. Advanced options, inactive message. Again, we'll leave these blank. We'll hide this page from search engines, and we'll click next. Now from here, we have the option to create that source like we did with some of our earlier opportunities, but I'll leave this sourceless for now. We're basically setting up this opportunity so that we can invite our qualified testers a little later on using the invite to project button that's right up here at the top right. Now that we have the participant opportunity configured, let's go ahead and create some notices for our participants. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at creating notices for our applicants and our participants. I'm at panel 3 in the project kickoff dashboard. And first things first, let's preview the notices that we already have available. So I'll click on preview notices right here. And let's take a look at the two different team types that we're targeting. So applicants and participants. So we'll click on applicants here. You can see that we have a qualification survey and a block notice ready for our applicants. We'll take a look at the qualification survey in just a second. And if we take a look at our participants, we currently don't have any notices, but we'll change that in a second. We'll set up a non-disclosure agreement, a welcome message, and some account verification details. All right. First things first, let's go ahead and take a look at that qualification survey. So I'm going to go to the management tab in our user menu right here, or sorry, our menu bar. I'll scroll down to surveys, and I'll click on qualification survey. So I created this qualification survey earlier for our Skyline project. We're looking for a couple different things for our testers. One, we're looking for testers who live in either the United States, Canada, Germany, Japan, or Mexico. We're also looking for people who already own serious cybernetics products. And we're looking for people who can test for a certain amount of time per week. So we've got questions built around all of that. So we've got a drop-down question here asking them to state their current country of residence, what kind of products they may own, any of the devices they may have connected to those products, the number of hours they can commit to testing per week. And then last but not least, we have this question here, what would make you a great fit to test this product? Now, as users are filling out their qualification surveys, they're checking a lot of boxes, they're selecting a lot of options, but this is where you can really see the tester shine and see what kind of attitude and what kind of mindset they're bringing to the test. We definitely recommend having a question like this in all of your qualification surveys. Every qualification survey is going to look different, of course, based on the needs of the test. But having this question at the bottom where you can really get to see the tester shine is a great way to find quality testers. So this is a best practice, and we definitely recommend it. Since I've got all of my form elements set up, what I'll do is I'll go to Modify Settings. And here you can see that I have this set up as a notice for our applicants, and it's the first thing in our notice chain. So as soon as applicants are accessing the opportunity, they're filling this out, and then we'll stop their progress. Next up, let's go ahead and create some notices for our participants. So once we've qualified our applicants and said, hey, we can actually promote you to being a participant, we want them to complete some additional content and some additional notices. So what I'll do is I'll go back to the management menu right here in the menu bar, and I'm actually going to go down to content. And here you can see I have a couple different resources built out. So I have a welcome message built out, and I also have a non-disclosure agreement. So let's go ahead and check both of these out. So I'll click on Welcome to the Skyline Test. You can see we've got some nice graphics, some text, all kinds of great stuff for our new participants. And I'll scroll all the way down here to Team Access, and we're going to set this up as a notice for our participants. We'll set it up as a click-through notice, and it does not need to be a recurring notice. They'll see it once the first time they log in as a participant, and then afterwards, they basically don't see it. So we'll click Submit right there. And we'll do the same thing with our non-disclosure agreement. So I'll click on our non-disclosure agreement. You can see we've got all of that nice legalese in there, all the things that they are agreeing to as being a part of our confidential project. And I'll scroll all the way down and we'll select Notice. And this time we're going to select Agreement. And once again, this is not a reoccurring notice. So they don't have to continuously sign the NDA every time they log in. They sign it once and they're good to go. Sweet. We'll click Submit there. And then the last thing that I want to do is I actually want to create a notice for account verification. And this is going to require participants to verify things like a home address, an email address, or a phone number. And we can choose which of those we want our testers to provide. And this makes it very, very easy if we're trying to send out maybe a test unit. We make sure that we get their current mailing address before anything else happens. So it's a great way to ensure that we have all of our ducks in a row, so to speak, when it comes time to sending things out, or if there's any other information that we need. So what I'll do is I'll go back up to management. And this time I'm going to click on notices and we're going to select a new notice. I'm just going to select the tester resources content piece here. And then what I'll do is I'll select account verification. The two things that I want from our participants in this is their shipping address so that we can send them the Sirius Security 3 unit. And we also want to ask for an email address so that we can get them a beta test key for some of our beta software. So we'll click on these two right here. And we'll make sure that this is a notice for participants, but not applicants. We want to make sure that only the future testers in our project see this. Now we've got that all set up, I'll click Submit. There we go. We'll ask them to confirm their account here. So we'll just title it, Please Confirm Your Information. We can't set availability or distributed values or files or anything like that. We'll preview this. And then we will publish it. Nice. So we've got some of our notices set up right here. Let's go ahead and check out the notice menu one more time and arrange these notices in a way that makes sense for us. So I'll go to Management. We'll click on Notices. Here's all of our notices right here. So we start with the qualification survey. We move on to the block notice. We have our welcome message, our non-disclosure agreement, and our account verification form. And this looks pretty good to me. I like the way that this is set up. But if I ever wanted to adjust where these notices appear in the notice chain, I simply just click and drag them like this. So now, instead of seeing the welcome message first, they have to complete the non-disclosure agreement. Now that we've got all of our notices set up, let's move on to actually inviting our testers, getting them in as participants, and then we'll talk about activating TED for tester automation. All right, so we are back at the project kickoff dashboard. And as you can see, we've had one applicant come through the onboarding process, which means they've completed their qualification survey. Now let's go ahead and find out if this applicant is actually qualified for the project by using filters and views. But what are filters and views? Let's dive into that a little bit more. So filters allow you to sort users, feedback items, and surveys based on custom criteria set by you and your team. So let's say I want to see users based on particular answers to a survey. Or let's say I want to see feedback items based on a certain amount of impact score. I can do all of that with filters. Now, views are going to decide what kind of information we see based on our filter. So let's say I run a filter for qualified applicants. The views allow me to see things like their username, their email address, country of origin, and perhaps certain answers to survey questions. So filters decide who we see, and views decide what we see. So we're going to use these two tools in tandem to find our qualified testers and then display special information about them or particular information that we want to know to help us in the recruitment process. So what I'll do is I'll go up here to management, and we'll go over to users, and then I'll go over to project users. And right here in the middle, you can see we have our two options for filters and views. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a filter. That way we can find our qualified applicants. So I'll click on the blue plus button right here. And I'll click on the plus button one more time. And then for my data set, I'm going to select surveys. And then I'll select our qualification survey. And what's really unique here is that when we used the form engine to build out our survey, we were actually creating all these different data points that we could collect data from and then run our filters and views on that. So if I click right here, you can see that we have a bunch of our form elements there. And then we also have some other options based on, when someone completed the survey, etc. But right now we're just going to use the form elements as our data points. So let's select what is our country of residence. We want someone who lives in any of these countries here. We don't want anyone who selected other as their country of origin. So I can either shift click that and add that to the filter, or I can say is not one of, and then select other, which I'll do. So they could not have selected other for their country of origin. Next up, we'll say, do you currently own any serious security devices? Yes, we want people who own devices. And then finally, we want to see how many hours someone can commit to testing. So 1 to 2 hours and up is our target here that would qualify someone. So I'll just go here, I'll click on that, and there you go. So now anyone who has answered any of those will be considered qualified for the test. Below here, we're going to say match all. So someone has to match all of these in order to be qualified to be a tester. And we'll save this filter. I'm going to say it's qualified testers. And we'll add it as a quick filter, and we can also share this filter with our other project managers. So we'll go ahead and click Create a Filter. And there you go. Now we have our filter done. Next up, I actually want to see certain attributes about our user. So once we run the filter, there are some specific things that I want to know about them. Mainly their username, email address, their country of origin, and then what kind of answer they gave to our text box at the bottom of the qualification survey. That was all about what makes you a good fit to be a tester. So that's what we're looking for. So we'll do the same thing here. We're just going to click on the plus button next to view. And then we'll select our data set. So from here, I will go to user account, and we'll add in their username, their email address, and we'll also auto-detect their country. Now here's a cool thing I can do, is I can actually switch to another data set and add data points from that data set into this view. So we can actually kind of mix and match things here. We can draw from surveys and feedback and user accounts. So it's really, really powerful what we can do with filters and views. So I'll select surveys, and we'll select our qualification survey here. And it looks like we have two types of this answer. I'm just going to put both of those in there. Down below, we have some group by options here. So we could group by, perhaps a certain country, or we could group by a specific answer. I'm just going to leave both of these blank right now, but you do have some options. We could group by username, we could group by email address. In this case, it might be best to group by country. So if you're running a large list and you have a lot of different testers from a lot of different places in the world, grouping by country is a great way to keep everything ordered. I will save this view, and we'll just title this Basic User Details. And once again, I'll share this view so that other people in my project can use it. I'll create that view. So there you go. So we have our user role selected as all users, but we could switch it to applicants if we wanted to. We have our filter, we have our view, and our action is show user list. So we'll perform that action and we'll see what happens. And there you go. You can see that we have our tester here. So it's Maria, her username is tester. We can see the email address, the country of origin, and then the text saying why they think they are a good candidate to test this upcoming Sirius 3 security hub. And as you can see, it looks like they've got a pretty solid answer right here. So they're excited to apply for it. They have professional experience. They're very confident in their work ethic. So I think that this is going to be a great match for the test. So what we'll do here is we're going to click on the tester. And we're going to add users to team here at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them from the applicant team over to the participant team. So we'll click submit. It's going to bring us to this menu right here. So we're going to add them to an existing team. And that existing team is participant. And we can also remove them from previous teams. So any teams that they may have already been a part of previously, we can go ahead and remove them from those teams. So they're going to be out of the applicant team and into the participant team. So we'll click submit. There we go. So we successfully added those users right there. And next up, let's go ahead and actually send them an invite to go through the participant journey. So what I'll do is I'm going to run that same filter and view here. There we go. Perform action. We have that email address. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this over. And then what I'll do is I'll go to the top right and we'll click on invite to project. I'll add in the email address. And we will select the participant opportunity. This is what their invitation preview is going to look like. And you can see that they have all of their notices here at the bottom. So they're going to go through the NDA, they're going to get the welcome message, and they're also going to go through account verification. So they'll verify their shipping address and their email address. After this, we'll go ahead and click send invite. It's going to process that invite. And once that's all prepared, they have been invited. And now we can go ahead and have them go through that onboarding opportunity, and they will become a fully fledged tester. Next up, let's go ahead and look at how we can automate tester engagement using our virtual team member, Ted. All right, last thing we're going to do in this video is activate Ted, who is our virtual team member. But what does Ted do? So Ted is all about automating engagement. So he can reach out to your testers, either congratulating them on an awesome job or urging them to complete more activities. He can also manage phases, so he can reach out to testers and say, hey, great job completing your activities this week, but there are a couple pieces of feedback that maybe need your input, or hey, could you submit some feedback about this particular feature? And he can also deliver progress reports to our admins. So as we're working within the project, Ted is going to keep us updated with, hey, this is how many pieces of feedback were submitted. This is how many issues there are, ideas, etc. So he does a really, really good job of working behind the scenes to make sure that the test is really running on all cylinders. Everything is as smooth as possible. Our testers are engaged, and we also have a great understanding of what's going on in the test. Now, Ted's engagement automation system works like this. So it's based on our different phase types. During onboarding, he's going to start welcoming testers to the project. He's going to set expectations and, send out information that testers can use to get a better idea of what the project is going to be like. Now, during engagement phases is where Ted really does the most work here and provides the most lift. So he's going to welcome testers to the phase and send them a feature set list. And then after that's out, he's going to make sure that the testers are caught up. So if they're caught up, he'll see if there's any features that are missing feedback. So if a tester completed an activity and rated a feature but didn't submit any feedback, he'll encourage that feedback. But he'll also check to see if our high value features are underrepresented. So if we don't have enough feedback on these high value features, or not enough testers are completing their activities, we can push them towards completing those activities and encouraging that feedback. Now, if a tester is not caught up, he's going to send out those activity reminders. At first, he's going to be kind of very cordial and very, very friendly and sort of just give them a light nudge towards completing an activity. And then if they continue to not complete those activities, he'll just get a little bit more, kind of focused in terms of how he's suggesting testers complete these activities. So he'll say things like, hey, we're coming up on the final week of this phase. I really need your help here. He'll just make sure that he's a little bit more pointed. He'll never be rude or, very mean to a tester, but he'll definitely get the point across that, hey, you are a tester in this project and we would really appreciate your help. Now, during closure, he's going to thank testers and he'll send out a recap to our testers saying, hey, this is how much feedback you submitted. These are the amount of activities you completed, etc. And basically thanking them and making sure that they feel valued as testers. And that's a big part of making sure that your testers are engaged and, really passionate about not just the project they're working in, but the test program itself. So it's a great way to kind of maximize the value of your testers and retain them for future projects. Now here's a quick look at TED communication, just a quick infographic showing both the participant and the admin side of things. So TED's always looking at the project. If he sees something that's up, like, hey, not enough activities have been completed, or we don't have feedback on these specific features, he'll send out those prompts to participants. They'll get that message, log into the project, and then start contributing. And then for admins, he's going to take a look at everything that's going on in the project, and he'll send out those progress reports to our team so that they can log in and also get more engagement in the platform. So it's really not just about testers and participants. It's also about us as the admin team, right? We want to stay engaged and we want to make sure that everything is going well in our project. That way we don't fall behind and we're able to deliver, the most impactful information to our stakeholders at the end of each phase or at the end of our test. So now that we know more about TED, let's actually go ahead and activate him within Centercode. I'm here at the project kickoff dashboard here at panel 7, and you can see that TED is currently inactive. He's taking a little bit of a nap. So let's go ahead and wake him up and activate him for our project. So we'll click on the Configure TED button right here. We have a little video that we could watch. It just goes over everything I talked about right now. But we'll click on Activate TED. And there we go. So congratulations, TED is enabled. And you can see we have a bunch of options that we can configure for activating TED. So we have our tester messaging and our admin messaging. So TED can send those welcome messages. He can use his smart engagement, which we recommend always keeping on. And he can also thank those testers and share their participation data. And then for our admins, he can send out those daily Scrum updates, phase progress and closure, and then also project highlights. One thing you can't turn off when it comes to TED is his ability to alert you when a project area is at risk. So if you have TED on, that's always going to be on by default. He'll just keep an eye on the project and make sure everything is going well. But as a best practice, we recommend keeping all of these on. TED does an amazing amount of work behind the scenes, automating things so that you don't have to. And the progress reports that he sends to your team are always very valuable. So really, once you activate TED, keep all these options on, and then let's make sure that the right teams can get this information. So we will send this information to project managers, and we'll also send it to participants. We'll click Submit. And there you go. TED settings have been updated. So we'll get those progress reports. The participants will get those alerts reminding them to go in and test or congratulating them on an amazing job. And there you go. We have a project that's all set up and ready to go. So we've built it out. We've scheduled our phases and features. We've recruited and onboarded testers. And now we have things automated. In our next series of videos, we'll talk about managing a project. And that'll go over understanding feedback types, how we can take a look at impact score, and all of the useful dashboards that we have inside Centercode. So I hope to see you there, and happy testing.